When you saw an opportunity, you built a business around it. And every day since, you've kept a sharp eye on ways to evolve and keep your business thriving. It takes courage, creativity, and a clear perspective. At Bremer Bank, we understand that your business is the result of your hard work and ingenuity, and we're here to support you with solutions when you spot an opportunity to grow. Work with Bremer Bank, because understanding is everything.
It's Not Your Fault is a podcast for parents, caregivers, and young people navigating the world and its challenges. Here's your host, Brandon Jones.
Greetings, everyone, and welcome back to another installment of It Is Not Your Fault, a teen mental health podcast. I am your host, Brandon Jones, and on today's episode, we're talking about how parents and caregivers can support adolescents using video games to reduce substance abuse. I know it's a lot. You're like, wait, you want to use video games, something that could be addictive, to curb another addiction? Yes. There was a study and a new approach in an actual game that came out that piqued my interest. And I said, well, why not talk about this on today's podcast? This may be something of interest to many folks, especially young people who love to play games. Now, here on this podcast, in society, there's been a lot of talk about just screens, devices, video games, and how much of a consumption a lot of our young people are dealing with when it comes to video games and these devices. Right now, there is a pretty popular book out that many people are having conversations about called The Anxious Generation. That book was written by a man by the name of Jonathan Haidt. And in that book, he just talks about how we've gotten away from a lot of the in-person social things that people do, and we've kind of leaned a lot more on just the digital world that we're in. And what it's doing is it's causing some anxiety issues and some mental health challenges for many youth. A topic, again, I talk about here on the podcast. It's nothing new to us and to how things are done, but it is a reality. However, I stumbled upon a very recent article that I think you would all find interesting, where they're actually talking about how video games can help curb addiction. So I'm going to read a little bit of the article and I'm going to give my perspective on today's podcast on it. So, we know that the teenage years are often times of exploration and vulnerability. Young people are trying to figure out who they are, what groups they fit in, how they want to identify. All these things are happening. A lot of stress, a lot of anxiety is taking place. A lot of things are happening. Adolescents are navigating all these things: peer pressure, risky behaviors. They're also navigating substance use. I know it's not comfortable to talk about kids using drugs. It's not comfortable to talk about kids having sex, but it happens. It happens. Kids are smoking weed. They're smoking vapes. They're drinking alcohol. Some of them are popping pills and doing other types of drugs as well. It sucks, but it's a reality. So while traditional prevention and intervention methods have long focused on education and community programming, there's a new approach that's taking place that focuses on online gaming. So literally, these folks are taking an approach of, let's use a tool that a lot of people are already doing. A lot of young people are already doing. They're already engaged in it. And let's see if that can help reduce some of the substance use that we see happening amongst young people. So in a recent article, it was an MSN Health article, it highlighted how online games can show potential as effective interventions to help adolescents reduce substance use. And this article was aimed for parents and caregivers to get informed, and they presented a very unique opportunity to engage teens in this way by using the digital tool of a video game. So there was some science behind this as well. So according to the article, researchers have found that certain online games can teach behavioral and cognitive techniques and strategies. So in the field of psychology, there's something called cognitive behavioral therapy. And ultimately what that is various different approaches, various different tools and techniques to help people kind of get down to their core beliefs and their deeper understandings of why they do the things that they do, why that we act the way that we act, why we feel the things that we feel. And what these researchers and scientists found out was there may be a way to kind of implement some of this in video games, which is pretty cool. I think it's pretty innovative as well. So what they did was they started to introduce something called motivational interviewing, which is really just a questioning approach to help kind of get deeper down into what people are thinking, how they feel. They introduced the cognitive behavioral therapy, also known as CBT, and then they also introduced social emotional learning inside of the video game. And one of the games is called Play Smart, and it was designed specifically to help teenagers deal with realistic situations. So you can play this game, and it might be something like, hey, your friend's crying in the hallway because they're not feeling well and they're having self-harm thoughts. So it's a game, but it helps them kind of decision make and problem solve how you would address that situation. It's pretty interesting stuff. So it involves a little bit of like peer pressuring and problem solving, and especially around things like substance use. Like, hey, your friend's drunk at a party, and they don't want to go home, but you want to get them to a safe place. What should you do? So it's stuff like that. So the teens play the Play Smart game, and it shows like measurable kind of reduction, ideas and interventions on how they can do that. And what they're saying is that the game has a promising sign of how that they could do these things in real life, not just in the virtual game. So with a game like Play Smart, and there's others out there as well, how do the parents involve in this? Like, what should the parents do? Do they play the game too? Do they buy the game only? Do they stay out of it? What are they supposed to do? How are they supposed to engage? How are they supposed to interact? And that's what I'm here to talk to you all about, is saying like this. Parents need to be engaged as well. Not saying you need to play the game, but you need to be informed of the game and other games and ways of doing this. Now, right now, parents are more concerned about limiting screen time, making sure their kids have more social engagement, etc. But parents can also say, hey, here's a different game that you might want to play to try this out. Ultimately, most parents and caregivers want their children to develop healthy in social and emotional ways. And video games right now have a bad rep, but they are not going to do that. But there is some hope here. There is some hope here. So one thing I would suggest for parents to do first is get informed about game-based interventions. So know what this is. This may be the first time you've ever heard of a game-based intervention. I know when I came across the article, it was the first time that I heard about this. I didn't know that there was these strategies out there for older children. What I have seen are learning-based games, but those are usually geared towards like, children under the age of 6, learning how to count, and they're using digital coloring, and they're learning how to read and things like that. But I haven't seen these kind of peer-based decision-making games, which are pretty cool. So one, I would encourage parents to do a little research on these games. These games are evidence-based. Usually they have either therapists or other types of professionals involved in the development or consulting on them. And what they're aim to do, again, is to help young people feel more confident about some of their choices and some of the decisions that they can make when they're faced with these type of dynamics. So getting informed about it is important. Offering these as options, suggesting that your kid downloads the game. Maybe you download it and play it too, just to make sure it fits your needs and you think your child might be engaged in it, or they might be open to it. Number 2, I would suggest that parents open up dialogue. It can be hard to talk to your child about substance use, especially if you have no, assumption that they are using substances, or, you don't think, or you haven't come across any, evidence that this is something that they even have on their radar. I periodically bring it up, as I share often on the podcast. I do have a 11-year-old. She's almost 12. So she's in her preteen phases. And I'll ask her, like, do you know what drugs are? And, before she got into middle school, she would say, no, I don't even know what that is. Like, I'll say, you know what weed is? Like, do you know what K, you ever heard of K2? I'll just ask her like random questions to see what she knew. And she would say no a lot. And then I did this recently, a couple weeks before spring break. And I said, hey, what do you know about drugs? Like, it's been a while since I've asked you that question. Like, do you know what drugs are? And she said, yes. She said she knows what they are. I was like, oh, we're here. She said, yeah, I know what drugs are. So I said, do you know what weed is? Yep, I know what weed is. Do you know this? And I think I asked her about like Percocet. Like, do you know what Percocets are? She's like, I've heard of it. I don't really know what it is. I know it's some pill or something. So she kind of had a little bit of idea. So what that let me know is her friends and the peers and the people around her are talking about this stuff. They may be even doing it. She said she wasn't doing it. I don't have any suspicion that she is, but she does have the dialogue. The conversations are taking place. So what I did after I kind of asked a few questions just to see what she knew, I said, okay, well, if you ever want to talk to me about any of this stuff, let me know. I know it's not the cool thing to do to talk to your dad about drugs. I know it sounds lame. That's the term that I use with her because that's the term she used. But just know I'm here if you want to talk about any of that stuff, or if anybody tries to get you to try any of that stuff, you don't want to. That may be an opportunity for you to talk to me. So I just opened up an opportunity for dialogue. Let my daughter know, like, hey, I'm here if you want to talk about that stuff. I'm gonna do my best not to judge you, but I want to make sure you're safe at the end of the day. Number 3, what else can parents do when it comes to engaging in this idea of video games helping with substance use? You can balance gaming with other wellness activities. So yes, kids love games. My kids love games. A lot of kids love playing games on tablets, phones, and actual systems. I play games. I'll be honest with you. I play PlayStation myself sometimes. But balancing the gaming with the wellness activities is very important. Encouraging a holistic approach to wellness, balancing that screen time with other outlets is very important. Things like puzzles, cards, family-based games, physical activity. Try to find that balance. So don't just lean on the games 100%. Even as you introduce these new intervention-based games, also make sure that they still do other activities as well. We don't want them to stay stuck on the screens, although we do need to understand that this is a part of their life and the screens are here. Set healthy boundaries with gaming is also important, right? Just because a game is helpful doesn't mean that teens should be playing it endlessly. Give them the tool, but don't let them abuse it, right? You want to keep it under control as much as possible. That goes with the wellness activities. The biggest thing that you can do as a parent is model and reinforce healthy coping strategies. If you're someone who indulges in drugs, let's be honest, some parents, they do drugs themselves. Be mindful of what your kids can see, hear, smell, touch. Be mindful, taste, be mindful of those things, because sometimes you may be opening up opportunities of curiosity for your child. So just be mindful of what they see, how they're engaging, what you're engaging in, and how you can show other types of ways of coping, if that's what you're using it for, just recreational fun. Don't allow it just to be all willy-nilly and out there and in front of people. What that does is it models a behavior of acceptance, and it gives the child a concept that they can do it too. And if you've been a parent for a while, you know that your kids will naturally find things that you do and try to use it against you. Well, you do it. Why can't I do it? It's okay for you to do it. It's not okay for me to do. These are common day-to-day things that teens do to use as a, part of their arsenal to combat their parent and that parent-child dynamic. So what I would suggest, if you are someone who's utilizing drugs in any way or alcohol in any way, be very mindful of how that is showing up for your child. They may be interpreting different type of messages by your use, especially if it's just all out and open. And then the last suggestion that I'm going to give is make sure that you partner with school professionals, the school counselors, the school social workers. Sometimes they may even be school-based therapists. Make sure you're engaging, especially if you feel like the child that you have is engaging in any of that, or their friends maybe. Inform the folks at school. They're around your kids a lot. It's important to keep that communication open, that two-way street there. I would also suggest that you offer this video game to them. Let them know about this game as well, so that they're aware of it on their radars. And if they ever need to use it as a tool to help your child, they know that's available and that's an option. So again, I just want to reiterate before I close out today, online games are not the golden ticket. All right. It's not the golden ticket. It's not going to solve the problem around addiction in young people, but it may be an opportunity, right? It may be a powerful way. It's a modern tool that can help your teen navigate the complexities of the world, such as substance abuse and decision making. So when we use it mindfully and we're in partnership with other caregivers or people who are part of your child's life, and in partnership with the young person, a game-based intervention may be the engagement that your teen needs to deal with a very sticky situation. So don't be afraid to introduce it. Check it out. Again, the one that I offered earlier today was called PlaySmart. There are other ones out there. Just search up game-based interventions, and they may be the opportunity to help you and the young person around you deal with one of the tougher things that comes about, which is substance use. All right. I'm done on this topic. Maybe we'll come back to it later. I'm actually going to check out PlaySmart myself, see if it's something I want to introduce to my child. She might be a little too young for it right now, but I might also offer it to other parents. So definitely check that out. Again, if you like this podcast, there's 3 ways for you to connect with us. The first way is through our Facebook page. Just go ahead and search It Is Not Your Fault Podcast in the search bar on Facebook, and you can find us, like us there, follow us. You get more tips like what we shared today, other episodes, and other great resources right there on the Facebook page. If you want to get in contact with me, you can hit me up on my personal email and my personal website, jegna.org. You can get to me right there, jegna.org. That's jegna.org, jegna.org. You get directly to me, ask me questions, learn a little bit more about what I do right there at jegna.org. And then if you like me, there's a good chance you might like some of the other podcasters on the network. What is that network? That network is ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com. Again, ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com, where you'll find myself and a plethora of amazing other podcasters right there, here to give you great information, help you navigate the world that you live in. And as always, folks, I want to encourage you to take care of yourself, be safe, be constructive, be well, and I'll see you on the next episode. Take care.
To check out previous episodes of It's Not Your Fault, or to learn more about Brandon Jones, log on to ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com.
You know Shaletta makes you laugh, but did you know Shaletta Brundage can also make you think and boost your business? Media personality, activist, and comedian Shaletta Brundage founded Shaletta Makes Me Laugh to celebrate and share the best of Black culture. It's a podcasting platform. You can download 10 weekly podcasts hosted by African-American subject experts at ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com is also a production house, creating broadcast quality commercial content. And Shaletta and her team of storytellers create powerful promotional campaigns to get businesses the brand awareness they're looking for. Some of Minnesota's top businesses trust Shaletta, and you can too. Get out the word about your events and products and get in front of communities of color with ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com. She's got the power to help your business.
What's up, everyone? It's Shaletta. I'm here getting a phone for one of my newly minted teenagers with Xfinity Mobile. They've got great options, affordable plans, and solid coverage that works for our whole family. With Xfinity Mobile, my daughter can stay connected with me wherever she goes. And did you know when you sign up, you can get an extra phone line free for a full year? Switch to Xfinity Mobile today for more savings, more smiles, and more ways to stay connected.